Hello students, very good morning. Dear students, today we are going to discuss remaining portion of the chapter Renaissance. In last video I had explained about invention of printing press, then we had discussed about some principles of Renaissance such as humanism, the glorification of human form, crusades and spirit of inquiry. Today in this video we are going to discuss some important points such as beginning of the Renaissance, then impact of Renaissance on art, architecture and literature. Especially we are going to discuss about Shakespeare and his works. Dear students, as we know that Renaissance began in Italy and consequently it spreaded in all the countries of Europe. As we know that Italy was a seat of a glorious Roman Empire, and all the scholars were having manuscripts, and numerous relics could be found in Italy, and this given a kind of a spirit of inquiry to European countries, and that after the coming of Renaissance a new phase is started. Another thing, the fall of Constantinople equally played important role in the spread of Renaissance, where the fall of Constantinople took place in 1453, and as you know that a number of Greek scholars were living in Constantinople after the fall of this Constantinople by Turks. These people, scholars, they migrated to Rome and they settled there, and then the people of Italy and other people from Europe, they came to they came to know about that great writings of classical writers or Greco-Roman writers, and this given a kind of a spirit of inquiry, and people started to think independently. Another important part was played by patrons. Italy in Italy the merchants were there. They were very economically very prosper, and this time they given shelter to art, painting, literature, and they given the patronage to the artist. This way that a new outlook toward art, literature, painting came out. So that Italy became a seat of a place of Renaissance. Then afterward, it spreaded to other countries of the Europe, and there was something very very remarkable change took place in European countries. We are going to now discuss about impact of Renaissance. That how Renaissance was able to impact art, painting and literature. Here we are going to know. Dear students, as we know that if you talk about the condition of painting in ancient Europe, then medieval Europe, you will find that art, painting and literature, these were the medium to express the religious beliefs among the people. They were not having a touch with human sensibility. They were a kind of a mechanism. With the help of that, the people were conveying their religious messages to the masses, okay, to the people, okay. But after the coming of Renaissance, lot of changes occurred, in the field of art, that Renaissance influenced art. Previously, what was the condition of art? It was only related to church. It was in the guidance of or influence of church and pope. But after the coming of Renaissance, that people started to use different kinds of the colors, frescoes. That a new technique came out, okay, and people started to paint with different colors. And now after the coming of Renaissance, artists became independent in their thinking, and they started to portray in their in their art human sensibility. It was something a great achievement of art after the coming of Renaissance. So Renaissance impacted, it influenced the field of art. Okay, let's talk about painting. You know that again painting was also influenced by church and pope. You know that you know the only the area of painting was only religion, you know, religion, pope, church, clergy. Okay, so that means religious messages, religious paintings were only given importance during medieval Europe. Okay, but after the coming of Renaissance, we know that it got again human sensibility. That means here the painters started to study the nature, then anatomy of human body, you know, geometry, physics. So including all these branches of education, they started to, you know, that paint with the help of these other you know that branches of knowledge. Okay, they could not found you know they considered as they considered art and science complementary to each other. And here you know science also helped in the development of painting during this time. And here this is the, you know, that as you know Renaissance began in Italy. And here you know we can find important painters in the form of Leonardo da Vinci, then Michelangelo, and you know Raphael. You know, so this time witnessed the you know that emergence of three important world famous painter in European country. And very important out of these three, very famous and important was Leonardo da Vinci. As we know that Leonardo da Vinci did not get a formal education at primary level, but he was having a great interest in painting. So this interest was you know that you know that this interest was you know that you know his father knew about his interest, and he helped to this child, and he was brought to great painter of the time, Andrea del Verrocchio. And Andrea del Verrocchio was that time very famous painter. Okay, so he was very famous painter, and he, you know, that means Leonardo da Vinci came in contact with him, and they started to learn. You know that he learned you know different branches of knowledge: nature, mechanics, anatomy, physics, architecture, and weaponry. So Leonardo da Vinci also considered that art and science, he merged them, and he found that they are supplementary to each other. And now here you know that here the feelings, the emotions, the you know that characteristics of human being found expression in painting. And it was something great quality of Leonardo da Vinci. We find that very important paintings in the form of Virgin of the Rocks and the Last Supper, and world famous painting Mona Lisa. You know that Mona Lisa, for you know that it became you know this painting became world famous because the way in which this painting is made or portrayed, that was something very, you know, amazing or heavenly. You know that sometimes people thought that you know that it was a, you know no, some magic was there in the hand of Leonardo da Vinci. So dear students, what I want to say that after the coming of Renaissance, the field of painting was also equally influenced. Okay, and apart from religion, apart from influence of church, now painting became very generous in nature. It started to portray the human sensibility, human emotion. Okay, and artists of this time, they took you know that help from other branches of knowledge, they merged them, and their you know that painting or work was something very extraordinary. It becomes extraordinary. Now we are going to discuss the impact or influence of Renaissance on literature. You know that Greco-Roman writers were first people who started writing literature, especially Greek. The trend started with Homer. Then we find a number of that eminent writers in that ancient or ancient Greek, where we find Homer, who had written Iliad and Odysseus. Then we find a group of dramatists in the form of Aeschylus. He is called as a father of Greek tragedy. Then Sophocles, Euripides. These three are the great tragedian of Greek civilization. Then we have in the field of comedy we have Aristophanes, okay, and that very important drama is Oedipus Rex, which is written by Sophocles, which is even today it is taught in many universities, okay. Then Roman writers came out, the Greek. Then after Roman writers, so we find Italy, that they were living in Italy, and Italian writer this trend started with that Machiavelli, who has written one book, Princess. Then afterward the Dante's work is Divine Comedy. Then a great man came in the form of Petrarch. He is called as a father of humanism. So humanism became important in literature, and this was a gift of it was a great phenomenon of Renaissance. What is humanism? To give respect. Otherwise, the man was considered as that a person with all potential to solve the problem, or to glorify the life of a single man, or love and respect for man, okay, individual man, and even love and respect for animals as well, okay. This is called humanism, a kind of consideration, a kind of emotion for human beings, okay. So dear students, this was the humanism was a great impact of Renaissance, especially in the field of literature. And that 14th century witnessed the the origin of a new language, that was English language. In England, Geoffrey Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer, he was a diplomat man, okay, and he chosen one dialect. The name of that dialect was East Midland dialect, okay, and he chosen that this dialect, and he started to write literature. And the first poem he written, that was the Canterbury Tales, okay. The Canterbury Tales, that 29 characters are portrayed in that poem, okay. So Geoffrey Chaucer is called as the father of English poetry. Then we have Edmund Spenser. Then we have C.T. Wits. We have important writers here. Thomas More, who had written Utopia. Thomas More, Utopia. Then we have Francis Bacon, and finally a great man came in the form of William Shakespeare. Before Shakespeare, C.T. Wits were there. There were 7, and out of these 7, Christopher Marlowe was very important tragedian who had written 4 important tragedies, like Dr. Faustus, Tamburlaine, Jew of Malta, Dido, the Queen of Carthage, and he became very famous. But unfortunately, he died at the age of 30, and that afterward there is a emergence of that there was an entry of William Shakespeare, our great dramatist of world. That he written 37, 38, or sometimes you'll find 37, sometimes you'll find 38, okay. Dramas he written 154, sonnets he written, 2 two long poems he written, that is Venus and Adonis and the Rape of Leghorn. Okay, so William Shakespeare, that he invented more than 30, more than 300,000 words in English. That he was also he was his characters were influenced by Renaissance spirit. You know, so he at first he written mostly that historical plays, and especially about Henry's. Okay, so afterward he moved toward comedies, and after 16th century he moved toward important tragedy. So we have Hamlet, then we have Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth. So these are four very very they are world famous dramas written by William Shakespeare. Hamlet, we know that Hamlet stand for inaction. He is having one hamartia. Hamartia means weakness of character, where he lacks in taking decision, and that's consequently he die at last. That Macbeth is very ambitious. He is a highly ambitious man. Okay, he is a he in that drama he is a military general of Scotland, but he kills King Duncan and finally becomes king. But at last he has to also die. In King Lear, we find that King Lear was a king of England in ancient time. King Lear was there. Okay, so King Lear, in the story of King Lear, we find that King Lear, old man, more than 80 years, he suddenly takes a decision that he wants to distribute his wealth among his daughters, Gonril, Regan, and Cordelia, and both first two are very that they are very cunning daughters, and they know the weakness of their father, and they just flatter him, and he gives all his property to them. But at last he comes to know that they were very treacherous, and they had cheated their own father, and at last King Lear had to die. Then we talk about Othello. Othello is also a military general of Venice, and Desdemona, that he is having a kind of sexual jealousy. Okay, where you find that Iago is a villain of this play Othello, and he wants to take revenge with Othello. Desdemona, a white girl, and that Othello is a black man. Okay, she falls in love with Iago and Othello, and Iago, he just conspire and make a planning, and he cheat Othello, and Othello think that his wife Desdemona is not faithful to him, and he kills, and at last he comes to know that his wife was faithful, loyal to him. Okay, and at last he commits suicide. So dear students, these are tragedies, but other characters, I mean to say that all the characters of William Shakespeare, they are that a fine expression of Renaissance, where they have been portrayed with the human sensibility. Okay, they are representative of a class. That was something a great impact of Renaissance on literature, where individual man came into being. Okay, because in Shakespeare, all the Shakespeare's characters are individual characters. And let me inform you that during this time only Shakespeare for the first time used the word individual word for the first time came into being, and Shakespeare used individual word for his own characters. Okay, so we can say that Shakespeare, that was also influenced by Renaissance. His works were also influenced by Renaissance, and his characters, all characters were influenced by Renaissance spirit. And according to me, if you study Dr. Faustus is a child of Renaissance. Okay, he is a true representation of Renaissance spirit. So, dear students, we know that Renaissance influenced literature in many way, and a very importantly it influenced in the form of individual man came into being. Okay, and human sensibility became important. Okay, so dear students, and we know that if you are going in detail about the dramas of William Shakespeare, the video will be very long. So now let me talk about last point of this video, that is Copernicus. Copernicus, that he was, after the coming of Renaissance, Copernicus, that he started to think about, started to study, the study about the cosmology, and put forward on theory, and the name of the theory is heliocentric theory. In that theory, he talks about he proves that the Earth rotates sun. Okay, so certain causes are given. He has written one book also. Okay, and certain causes are given, and if you study, okay, so you will find that in his theory he was something very original, but his theory is also challenged by other people, also taken by that copy is also taken by other like Kepler and others. Okay, so dear, simply read in detail about Copernicus also. Okay, so dear students, what I today explain in this video, please read in book also. Okay, and watch this video carefully, and I hope what I explained today you understood it clearly, and in next video we are going to discuss about 6%. So in this video, this much only. Okay, thank you.